Hello everyone, my name is Heather and welcome to the channel Bookables. Today, spring is here. It is the month of spring and my heart is so insanely happy because, sorry, I love spring. Spring is one of my favorites, spring and fall, because the birds are out singing again. Trees are blooming, flowers are blooming. It's a beautiful time of rebirth and I love it so much. So what qualifies really as spring? I think summer reads are easy and like fall reads are easy, but spring reads are kind of tricky. You're like, what book really classifies spring? And I still don't have an answer to this. This list could be just total hodgepodge. But for me, spring is just kind of light, easy reading for me, I say. Not a lot of thrillers, but just kind of books that will just ease you into summer that aren't full force summer reads, you know, beachy reads and things like that. Just kind of light romances. Books I think just kind of represent the season of spring. Like I said, you could scoff at this list and I would not make fun of you at all because my list could just be horrible. But either way, I have a few books I think that are perfect to read during the spring season when the flowers are out and the trees and the pollen comes. Oh my gosh, I'm not ready for that. But I'm just happy it'll be warmer. That's all I have to say about that. I have First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. This is her newest book and I read it last month. Loved it. It was so cute. If you're a big fan of Nora Ephron, I would highly recommend reading this book. So we follow two characters. We follow Lucy and Aiden. And Aiden is the host of Seattle's radio show, like looking for love. Basically, he gives love advice, but he doesn't believe in love anymore. But then he gets a call from like this 12-year-old girl that's like, I really want my mom to like find love. And who shall that be but Lucy? And Lucy somehow gets up on the show and romance happens. It's very slow burn. It is a little bit lengthier, but I just adored it so. It's just a sweet romance. And I love a good, sweet romance. I would highly recommend checking this one out. Next up, we have another new release, and that is Out of the Woods by Hannah Boehm Young. This is her companion novel to Out on a Limb, and I enjoyed that one, but I love this one. And I don't think this book will be for everyone, but I'd say if you've been married for a little bit, like over 10 years or so, this book is just phenomenal. I've been married for 16 years, and I felt so seen in this book. This is about a character named Sarah who's been married to her high school sweetheart for a very long time. Like, they've been together for like 17 years. Sorry, I don't think she's feeling well, so she just needs mama's loving, but I have to work too, so we're just gonna, you know, get things done. But anyway, so they've been married for a long time and she feels like they're kind of in a rut. They're kind of growing apart. And so she decides to sign them up for this marriage retreat that's like out in wilderness, which makes going on hikes all the time and things like that. It's very springy. It's just about them reconnecting again on how they're growing, but you can still grow differently, but still be married. I think there's one quote in this where she says, no matter where I plant my flower, I'll make sure to plant it next to you, like her, like being the flower. And I just love that so much. It's a beautiful book about marriage, love, and finding your soulmate too early, but still growing and wanting to be with them. And I adored it so. Next up, we have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This book, whew, I was not expecting to love this book as much as I did because it's part of like her new, like more steamier series, if you will. So this is about two divers, this is about Scarlett, who is a professional diver at Stanford College, and she had a really traumatic injury a couple years ago, and she's just now kind of getting back into diving, but she's got a big mental block about one particular dive, and she's having a hard time, and she befriends her captain, Penelope, and Penelope is going through a breakup with her boyfriend that she's been together with forever, Lucas, and she's like, you know, we're not compatible, we don't like the same things in a particular room if you drive with me, and Scarlett's like, well, I understand that, I have the same type of things, and it's hard to find a relationship. Penelope's like, why don't you guys like hook up and get together, and what do you know, they do, and of course, things develop more. And yes, this is a steamy book, like, but I really enjoyed the relationship dynamic of Lucas and Scarlett and the trust they had and the way the romance really blossomed slowly. I thought it was a beautiful romance story with a lot of adult things in it for sure, but I really liked it. Plus swimming, spring. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to equate this to spring, but either way, I enjoyed it a ton. Would recommend it. If you don't like steamy things, I would definitely stay far from this one, but man, I was very surprised how much I like this one. Next up, I have Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This one is just, it's about a florist. I mean, like, that's just a spring thing right there for you. Like, it has to be there. So this is about a character named Annie who lives in a small town. She owns her own she's a florist. She owns her own floral store, and she wants love, and she wants the love her parents had, and she's never really quite got it. And then she meets Will, who is like a really gruff and sexy bodyguard, and he's like, I'll teach you how to date so you know what to look for. And of course, you can see the plot from a mile away, but it's just cute and wholesome. It's just cute and adorable. Small town. She's a florist. Flowers, spring. You get the deal. You see what I'm doing here. Another one that's kind of springy, if not just the freaking cover, because it's literally spring flowers. And whenever I look at it, I just get happy. It makes me think of spring. But it's got that spring kind of new feeling, if you will. So this is about a character named Eve who does accidentally get pregnant with a one-night stand, and she's like, oh my goodness. So she turns to her best friend Willa, but Willa's not really all there for her because Willa's been trying to get pregnant with her husband for years and not having it, and she's like, you can get pregnant like that? So obviously it's some hard dynamics from both sides. And then who should enter the picture but Shep. Shep is Willa's older brother, and he's like, you know what, I will help Eve. And of course, love comes out of it, and he is just the most cinnamon roll characters of all guys. Like, he's just cinnamon rolls. Oh. Not right now. He's just amazing, and I love him so. But it's just a very fresh, beautiful love story. Yes, it does have unplanned pregnancy, which isn't one of my favorite tropes, but this book handles it so well. And if anything, the cover is spring. You get it. That's not released quite yet, or maybe is released, but again, it's kind of just very seasonal, and it's The Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Lori Gilmore. She is like the seasonal writer right now. She's wrote like a couple of fall ones. She's wrote a Christmas one. Now we're here with the spring one with the owner that owns a strawberry patch. It's like single dad and like forced proximity. It's all in a small town. These aren't gonna wow you, her books. Like, I read them strictly for the seasonal vibes. I am not gonna lie to you. That's the only reason why I read them, because it gets me in that kind of seasonal vibe, whatever season that is. So I would recommend it if you're strictly looking for a spring read. Next up, I have the Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. And I know you're like, what about all of her other books? Yes, everyone recommends them to you, and me included a ton of times, but nobody talks about her sophomore book, this one. Nobody talks about her sophomore book, The Happy Ever playlist, enough. It's one of my favorites. It's like my second favorite by her. I love and adore it, and any chance I can get to talk about it, I will. This one, again, is kind of like a rebirth, just a different just a new chapter in a book of a character. So this is about a character named Sloane who sadly loses her fiance 2 years ago, and she's still really grieving and mourning him, and she doesn't really know how to cope. And then one day, a dog literally jumps in her car, and she's like, what the heck? But she falls in love with this dog. She tries to find its owner multiple times, and then she just accepts, this is my dog now. So he brings her happiness, he brings her joy in a life where it's just been painted like black and white. He brings color into her life. The owner calls her, and he is like, hey, his name is Jason, and he's like, I've been on tour for a while. That's my dog. My sister was supposed to watch it, and it ran away. And so basically, he's like a world famous country singer, and he gets together with Sloane, and it's about her finding love after loss. And it's a beautiful book that nobody recommends enough. Like, I love this book, so I would recommend it. It's kind of got like that birth, renewal type of thing for spring. You get it? You get it. And the last two books I want to recommend are sports romance, in particular baseball, because I'm a baseball lover by heart. My favorite is the Braves. Last year was not good to us. Maybe this year will be. I don't know. But baseball is always spring. When I think spring, I think baseball. And a baseball book I think of is Play Along by Liz Tomforty. This is her fourth book. I think it's her second baseball one. I didn't like the third one, like the first baseball one, as much as I like this one. This one is all about two characters. Please forgive me, I forgot their names because I am just horrible. But basically, she is the physical therapist on this coaching staff, and this one guy has had a crush on her for years, but he's never been able to really like go for it because she's been engaged. And now that engagement is off, so he's like, oh, it's happening. Basically, one night they accidentally get drunk and get married in Vegas, and so they have to like keep continuing on. And he's like, yes, this is amazing. It's everything I ever wanted. And her name's Kennedy. I know that. I remember that now. Kennedy. She's like, I'm not sure, but it's a beautiful book because he's a baseball player. She's a physical therapist at baseball. You get the gist. It was amazing. And the other baseball book that I have that I really enjoy was The Art of Catching Feelings by Alicia Thompson. Like, look at this cover. It is just pop art baseball, and I love it. So this one could not be for everyone because it's kind of got a catfish element into it. And I don't love that myself. So it says a professional baseball player and his heckler prove that true love is worth going to bat for. So it's about Daphne. She's at a baseball game one day with her friend, and she doesn't want to be there. She's like, I hate this. I'm going through a divorce. And so she heckles one of the players, and he really takes it to heart, and she feels horrible about it. And so she apologizes to him later online, and they start talking, and she realizes, oh, I never really identified myself as the heckler. I just apologized that that happened to him. And somehow she gets actually working with the team, being like a part of their media, and they meet. So he thinks she's someone totally different, and she's just kind of catfishing him the whole time. It does get resolved, and I think it gets resolved nicely, but I could see why it could be a big turnoff for a lot of people. But nevertheless, I still really enjoyed it. It's got great baseball things. He's got like the yips kind of, he's in a rut with things, but I really enjoyed it and would recommend it. So there you have some books that I think are spring reads, books that just kind of feel like spring. If you disagree with me, I understand. If you agree with me, I understand. I would love to know what books you think are spring reads. Please let me know, because I could be totally clueless 100%. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.